Man, when it comes to ranking videos that I've done, I think this is going to be the hardest ranking video I've done because I love every single one of these movies, like every single one. But today, Bubs, we are going to be ranking all of the Evil Dead films, excluding Ash vs. Evil Dead, because I haven't finished season 3. I have 2 little kids. I mean, don't judge me, damn it, okay? I gotta wait till they go to sleep. But getting back on topic here, I do love all 5 of these Evil Dead films. They are all fantastic. It might be my favorite franchise to date because they are all so good. They're all different. They all take their own twist and spin. Even the remake / reboot. It's all unique, it's all different, but it's all good quality shit. Just remember though, these are just my opinions, so I want to hear what your opinion is in the comments below of what you would rank the Evil Dead franchise. Let's go ahead and get started. Starting in dead last is sadly Army of Darkness. I love this movie. This is the first Evil Dead that I've seen because it's so schlocky. It's pretty much kid friendly. So I watched it. I had to have been under 5 years old when I saw it, and I loved this movie. I watched this movie just last week with my wife, and my oldest son came in and watched a little bit of it, and even he had a blast watching it. There was the scene where Ash hits the rope and starts flying up and the rocks land on top of the skeleton. He died laughing. He had me replay that scene like 15 times. But a scene that makes me laugh ever since I saw it when I was a little kid was the scene where Ash is like, "What's that on your face?" And evil Ash has no idea what's going on and he just throws dirt on him.
Hey, what's that you got on your face?
Huh?
To this day, I see that scene and just die laughing. It's so funny. To be honest with you, it barely hits the horror genre. Like, it's barely a horror film. Yeah, there's a little bit of blood and there's some deadites. I mean, there's barely any deadites. There's probably less than 5, I think. But that's okay. I don't think it was really trying to be a horror film. It was just trying to be a Sam Raimi film. It was more comedic instead of horror. It was more action-packed. Sam Raimi was trying to take a different tone, and I respect that. Now, if I had to give one complaint of this movie, it is the characters. I didn't really care for any of the characters. I like playing the characters in the game, like Henry the Red's cool and stuff, but the characters in the movie are just kind of there, and that's it. I don't really like that. So of course, that's gonna knock it down just a little bit for me. Now, I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but coming in at number 4 is Evil Dead 2. Please don't hate me too much, but I love Evil Dead 2, do not get me wrong. Now, I've already said in the past that I adore every single one of these movies, so I'm not saying this is a bad movie because I placed this in 4th place. I love this movie. It's a classic. This movie is what people imagine when they think of Ash Williams. This is exactly how I picture Evil Dead when I think of Ash Williams. This is Ash Williams. Evil Dead 2 is the staple for Evil Dead. I mean, I'm not the only one that says that. Most fans say that, but it's just not my favorite one. You think of Ash Williams, you think of the man that goes crazy in a cabin, cuts off his hand, installs a chainsaw onto his stump. That is Ash Williams, and that happened in Evil Dead 2, not the first one. And honestly, for the longest time, I thought this was the first movie. It basically is the first movie for the first 20 or so minutes. I mean, there are so many iconic sequences in this movie. Some of my favorite ones are when Ash is laughing and losing his mind and everything else in the cabin's laughing with him. It's my favorite scene of the whole movie. It's gory, it's disturbing, it's a little bit funny. This was what Evil Dead was supposed to be, and I truly believe that. I believe if Sam Raimi and them had the money to produce this, this would have been their first movie. Another complaint though with this one is I didn't really care about the extra characters in this movie. They weren't really important to me. I liked the characters in the first one a little bit better, but like I said, that's not a knock at this movie. I think this one is just as close to perfect as the other ones. Coming up in 3rd place though, we have the Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead that Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell made when they were kids in college. This movie has a special place in my heart. I think this movie is just fantastic. Given the budget that they had, this movie is a masterpiece. This movie inspired me as a kid that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you have a dream, you can get it done. You can make that dream happen. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell did just that with a such a low budget. They only had $375,000, which is around the same price that they did the original Halloween. So if you really think about it, this movie is one of the staples of low budget horror films. And given the little money that they had, this movie is so freaking scary. Something about the low budget special effects made it even scarier. I remember looking at Cheryl trying to blast through the freaking basement and being so scared. She looked terrifying. And that scene where she shoves the pencil in the ankle, holy shit, that thing, that is terrifying to me. And it was beautifully made.
One by one we will take you.
So watching it in today's time, yeah, you'll look at it and be like, that's a little bit cheap, but it has a charm to it that makes it hold up still. I don't know, there's just something about it. I mean, it did so well, it caught the eyes of Stephen King, so it had to have done something right. Now, all of these movies were very hard to rank, and especially these last two, I kept switching back and forth ever since I saw Evil Dead Rise on which one of these movies were gonna be my favorite, but I've came to the conclusion that Evil Dead Rise sits in the number 2 spot. This movie is a perfect movie. This is a perfect score. This movie is amazing. I loved everything about it other than the wonky CGI in some sections, but this is an incredible movie. It took some risks and made its own spin, but it still felt like the same Evil Dead we know and love. It's my favorite movie of 2023 so far, and it's the best movie I've seen since 2017. They explored new themes, made deeper connections with the characters, that way we can relate to them some more, but gave us the same gory, cinematic experience that we've seen in all the other Evil Dead films. I love it. In fact, this gave us the scariest Deadeye I've seen in my life, and that is Alyssa Sutherland playing Ellie.
Open up now.
You don't look so good, Mom.
Nothing a big old kiss from you won't fix.
She is terrifying. I would never want to see her in my life because she is so fucking scary. She scared the shit out of me and my wife when we watched this movie. And props to her for that because I don't get scared a lot, but she was fucking scary. But other than Ellie, my favorite part about this movie was the change of scenery. I love the cabin, don't get me wrong, but seeing it in a different location did something that just sparked excitement for me. Seeing this set in an apartment building in the middle of a city, yes, felt the same, but also different enough that just made me curious. I wanted to know what was going on, and they did a fantastic job at it. So yes, Evil Dead Rise is a perfect movie, but there is one movie that just doesn't escape my head. I love it so much, it constantly pops up in my head, and that is the Evil Dead remake that came out in 2013. It's a remake, it's a reboot. I don't know exactly what you want to call it because it is technically canon to all the other Evil Dead films. So it's amazing, and that is in my number 1 spot. This movie was fantastic. From the moment I saw the first trailer, I was hooked. I was like, this is gonna be the best fucking movie in the world. And it was. I fucking love this movie. It is, honestly, it's more brutal than Evil Dead Rise. I was so excited for Evil Dead Rise. I was like, man, this is gonna be a bloody masterpiece. But honestly, it didn't do as well as the remake. The remake had more gore, it was more disgusting and in your face, it was brutal. And that's what I loved about it. Also exploring deeper themes. I think Mia as a character, having addiction with drugs and trying to wing herself off of it was perfect. I mean, the rest of the cast literally looked at her and like, no, you're withdrawing from drugs. You're not seeing these things. It's all in your head. And sadly, it wasn't. It was all fucking crazy. It was all fucking real. It was amazing. Mia was fantastic. The rest of the cast was fantastic as well. The scene where, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but where she cuts off her freaking cheek in the bathroom.
Oh my god! How did you do that?
That scene is one of my favorite scenes in cinema. I love that scene. It's terrifying, it's nightmare inducing, and it was so perfect. And coming from someone that works in the health field, I've seen people go through withdrawals and have hallucinations, so it is very realistic on that aspect. Mia is the type of character that you would be like, listen, you were just withdrawing from the drugs that you've been on. You were going to experience hallucinations. And it's so sad because she tried telling them, no, this is real. This is really happening to me. And it's going to happen to all of us if we don't get out of here. Something about Mia that I also really love is that she was both the antagonist and the protagonist of this movie, which you don't really see a lot in movies. I mean, she starts out as the innocent, well, she wasn't really innocent. She was on drugs and trying to get off drugs, but she wasn't the bad person until she got possessed. And then she became freaking crazy through about 60% through of the movie. She was the bad person. She was infecting everyone and making them get possessed. She was the antagonist. And then she revives into the final girl of the movie. I thought that was so cool. She is one of my favorite final girls in horror. And that's why when I found out Evil Dead Rise wasn't a sequel to this remake, I was bummed out because she was awesome and I want more of her. I want to explore her story more. And given the fact that these movies are all technically connected, I don't think that's off the table. I think there's more room for Mia. I think there's more room for Ash. And I think there's more room for Beth as well. I think maybe they'll do like a multiverse type thing. Let's get an Evil Dead cinematic universe going. Let's have all three of them show up. I mean, there's time travel. There's got to be different dimensions, and unless somehow they are all in the same dimension. I don't know. I do know that Lee Cronin stated that his book is one of the 3 books that was in Army of Darkness, which I find that weird because that book and the book from the remake are 2 completely different looking books than the other 2 books from Army of Darkness, but that's besides the point. Maybe they'll try to explain that. I don't know. There's a chance we could see all of them again in a film, and maybe let's just see all 3 of them together. Let's have an Evil Dead Avengers type movie. Let's just have them all killing deadites and kicking some ass. I think that's gonna be awesome. But that wraps up this video. Let me know what your ranking of the Evil Dead franchise is down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel because it does help your boy out tremendously and it helps you stay up to date with my videos coming in the future. And until next time, take it easy, bubs.